All right. So today, before we even get into introductions, we are going to start with a breathing exercise. We are going to take a moment to unwind. So humor me. Everyone just find a comfortable position, whether you're sitting or you want to lay down. We want you to relax your shoulders and let your hands just rest gently. We are going to take in a slow breath through the nose, and then we'll gently exhale through your mouth. Feel free to close your eyes. When you breathe in, hold, breathe out. Let your body know that it's safe. And as we breathe in and out, I want you to use a simple pattern. So inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale for 6. So breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. I want you to keep doing this. With each inhale, hold, and then as you exhale, release all the tension in your body. So breathe in, hold, breathe out. We're going to just keep breathing slowly in, hold, and out. On each inhale, we want you to think, I am safe. And on each exhale, we want you to think, I let go. We want you to notice your shoulders softening, your jaw unclenching, and your breath flowing more easily. Keep breathing. In, hold, out. Let your breathing start to return to its normal pace. Start to feel the weight of your body supported beneath you. Notice any lightness, any warmth, or any calm settling in. Take one final deep breath in and a long, steady exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Hopefully you're relaxing. Feel great, relaxed, awesome. Oh, very relaxed, calm, light. I love it. All right, we're going to get into it now. So officially, hello everyone. My name is Katie Powell. I am a well-being consultant here at Care First and a certified health education specialist with a deep passion for health education. Today, I'm going to provide credited information from the CDC, the American Heart Association, the National Sleep Foundation, National Institute of Health, and more. Should you have any specific questions regarding your own sleep or stress, we do recommend you reach out to your primary care provider, as this presentation is not intended to substitute for medical advice, but just to provide health education. I hope you guys are enjoying the beginning of spring. Last month, if you were here, we focused on nutrition. We spent a good amount of time learning about small, everyday choices around food and how they can support our health as well as our energy. We talked about building sustainable habits, not achieving perfection, but just overall good habits, and how those habits over time can help us work towards that healthier lifestyle that we're all achieving. This month, we're going to focus on to stress management and sleep. We know that these two areas are deeply connected and they play a major role in how we feel each and every day. And when stress is high, sleep often suffers. And when sleep is poor, stress feels harder to manage. And it kind of becomes this cycle that affects our mood, our focus, our energy, and our overall well-being. Today's title, I think, is absolutely perfect. Rest assured for some sleep and stress solutions that work. All right. So, over the next, let's say 40 minutes or so, we are going to talk about why sleep matters, understanding your sleep, some strategies for practical sleep, sleep and stress connection, as well as Care First resources that will assist you. But first, as always, we're going to do a quick poll. So would love to know, on average, how much sleep do you get on a work night? I'll give you guys all a minute or so. Still got people voting. All right, we'll give it like a handful more seconds. Oh, and I love you guys are putting it both in the chat as well as the poll. So the poll, I think, says 6 to 7 hours, followed by 5 to 6. And I see a lot of 5 to 6, 6 to 7. Oh my goodness, some 4 to 5 as well. Yep, keep putting it in the chat. So this is a great segue. We often think of sleep as optional, something we can cut back on. However, um, you know, the truth is sleep isn't a luxury. It's a powerful biological essential process that shapes nearly every aspect of our health, our mood, performance, ability to manage stress, and more. So what happens is when we push sleep to the bottom of our priority list, we quietly chip away at our focus and our resilience and our overall well-being. All right. So the CDC recommends, drum roll please, we get 7 or more hours of sleep each day or night for optimal health. Let's start by talking about why sleep plays such a central role in how we function. For us, sleep isn't just downtime, it's actually an active process where the brain reorganizes, repairs, and prepares for the next day. So when we don't get enough quality sleep, we I'm sorry, when we do get enough quality sleep, we think more clearly, we learn faster, we retain information better, we're able to do things like handle emotions more effectively. But what happens when we don't? Our focus drops, our memory slips, and small stressors really feel pretty big. Not only does it affect how we function, it also plays a pretty big impact on our physical health. So, getting that adequate sleep of 7 or more hours a night helps to regulate systems that control blood pressure, blood sugar, appetite, and metabolism. Over time, consistent poor sleep increases the risks of these conditions, conditions like heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and hypertension. So, improving sleep isn't just about feeling rested, it's a part of protecting our long-term health. Another key benefit of sleep is its role in supporting our immune system. When we sleep, our body is producing and releasing proteins that help fight inflammation and infection. I think that's why when we're sick, we have this overwhelming urge to sleep. Sleep is just this the body's best tool for overall recovery. Finally, sleep directly affects things like our safety and performance. And I'm sure you guys have either heard or felt this before. So, when we're tired, our reaction time slows, our judgment is impaired, and we're just prone to make more mistakes. This, unfortunately, can lead to things like workplace errors, injuries, and even drowsy driving crashes. So, this in itself makes good sleep a priority. Overall, sleep is important. It's the foundation of overall well-being. Now, the amount of sleep. So, we can see here from this little chart that our needs change throughout our lifespan. The highest requirements for sleep is during infancy and early childhood. Young children and toddlers, they still rely on naps to help meet their daily sleep needs. And then the teens need more sleep than they often get. So, 8 to 10 hours is recommended to support growth, learning, and mood. And then for adults, at least 7 hours per night. While older adults may need slightly less, but they still require consistent quality rest. So, meeting age appropriate sleep recommendations really support physical health, your mental well being, daily performance, and more. We just spoke about that during the importance of sleep slide. We also want to call out that sleep requirements can vary based upon, the age recommendations, but they can also be influenced by additional factors. Factors such as sleep quality, cumulative sleep, sleep deprivation, pregnancy is a big one, stress and mental health status, underlying health conditions, lifestyle and environmental factors, and even more. So there's a lot more to sleep, right, than we think. Quality sleep isn't just about hours. It's about how smoothly we fall asleep and stay asleep. So I would love to know in the chat how long you think approximately it takes you to fall asleep. And I know it can be kind of tricky because you're asleep, but if you could guess, how long do you think it takes you to fall asleep? Lots of different ranges. Oh my gosh, these people that are 5 or 10 minutes, teach me your ways. Yeah, I mean, from what I'm seeing, it really is ranging from 5 seconds up to a couple of hours. Yeah, everyone is so different and unique. All right, so we're going to talk about these different ones. So, sleep latency is how long it takes you to fall asleep. It should be around 10 to 20 minutes, is what is considered typical. Now, at the beginning, we did preface by saying, this is general health education that is provided by credited sources. But if you're someone saying it can take hours, or, I just have so much trouble, that definitely warrants a conversation with your primary care provider because optimal sleep is so important for overall well-being. Awakenings is how often you wake up during the night. It is totally normal to wake up a couple of times, maybe you're shifting or readjusting, but frequent ones tend to interrupt deep sleep. And then there's wake after sleep onset, or WASO, and this is the total time you're awake after initially falling asleep. Finally, we have sleep efficiency, and this is the percentage of time in bed where you're actually sleeping. Around 85% or higher indicates strong sleep quality. But for some of us that are saying how long it takes, um, that might, factor in here. If you're saying it takes you a couple hours to sleep, but you're in bed for 9 hours, that doesn't mean it's efficient sleep. I'm not sure if anyone's ever used sleep trackers. Feel free to share in the chat if you've ever tracked your sleep, whether it's through some type of wearable device or an Oura ring or something like that. They tend to show your baseline in these areas so you can see what's working, what you can improve. Apple Watch, yeah, Oura ring. Sleep Number Bed. I love that one. I tend to wear my watch all day because I like to count my steps and my activity. And then I have to charge it at night. So maybe even for myself, or if this is helpful to anybody else, maybe I'll flip it every once in a while and track my sleep at night and charge it during the day. But moving on to sleep trends. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Sleep insufficiency is widespread in the United States. We see that about 1 in 6 adults do not get enough sleep. And honestly, recent data is suggesting that that issue may be even more significant. In 2025, the National Sleep Foundation reports that 6 out of 10 adults report insufficient sleep, and 4 in 10 struggle to fall asleep 3 or more nights each week. Yeah, and I would love to also just know from you guys, do you sleep better during the work week or the weekends? I kind of just feel like that might be interesting. I I sometimes I feel like I psych myself up knowing I have to, get up and work and do meetings, and so I keep my brain a little bit turned on longer than I should, where on the weekends it's a little bit more relaxed. And it looks like a lot of us are saying weekends, definitely. Yes. Okay. Um, Patterns are not evenly distributed as well. So the CDC is reporting that short sleep duration is more common among middle-aged adults, certain racial and ethnic minority populations, and individuals with lower income or educational attainment. Importantly, sleep problems also begin early in life, and many children and many high school students are not getting that recommended amount of sleep, which not only raises concerns for their academic, but as well as their health outcomes, throughout life. We already talked about how that can affect blood pressure, your blood glucose, etc. Insufficient sleep represents a major public health concern with an estimated 50 to 70 million adults living with chronic disorders. That is a lot. So I always feel like we start out with the information, the heavy hitters, to understand kind of what's not necessarily the issue is, but kind of what we're dealing with. So now we want to understand the actual sleep. So, what quality sleep looks like. And the next step is understanding our own sleep patterns. So, on to the sleep stages. I actually really love this graphic over here. It's very helpful in what I'm about to explain. So, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but sleep has two main types. We have the non-REM and the REM sleep, which cycle about every 90 minutes or so throughout the night. The first stage is that light transitional sleep when you're first falling asleep, but it's easy to wake up. Do you ever get that? Like you fall asleep and then you hear a noise? That is your stage one. Stage two is light sleep, but the body is relaxing further and further. Your heart rate and your temperature drop, and your memory processing starts to occur. In stage three, this is the most deep of sleep. This is the restorative stage, which supports your physical repair, your growth, your immune health that we talked about a little bit earlier. And then your REM sleep is the stage where most of the dreaming occurs. This is where brain activity increases and it really plays a key role in learning about your emotional regulation. Your REM periods also tend to lengthen as the night goes on. So I know we said about 90 minutes, but every body literally is different. So it can be between 90 to 120 minutes. And then the cycle just continues and continues throughout the night, which is kind of cool. I mean, I find all health and wellness information to be fascinating, but even understanding the layers of sleep is very cool. All right, we're going to do a little pre-check for you and would love to know if you guys know which sleep stage is most important for memory consolidation, learning, and emotional regulation. Oh, sorry, my poll is on the other side, so I'm going to be looking back and forth. Also, I'm just wondering, and maybe we'll talk about this, but like, do you ever sleep better during different weathers? For example, like sleeping with your windows open at the beginning of spring when it's nice and cool out. For some reason, that fresh air really helps. Rain, that's a good one. Rainstorms I don't mind. Thunder. Yeah. Yeah, some people sleep better in the winter just because it's cold out. With the windows open, the fall is a good time too. Yes. Rain and a cool breeze. I love it. All right, so for our knowledge check, we have most people saying REM sleep. So let's find out the answer. The answer is technically stage three, deep sleep. During this stage is when the brain replays fresh memories and transfers them to long-term storage in a different part of the brain. And I'm going to be honest, I also thought this was REM when we were building this presentation. So, what is deep sleep and why does it matter? Let's start by talking about memory consolidation and emotional regulation. So, this is rapid eye movement, NREM, and REM, if you prefer. During this deep sleep, the brain processes and stores the day's experiences. It also does some really cool things, like it converts the day into long-term memories. This stage also helps to manage stress and anxiety because it is balancing mood regulation hormones like serotonin and cortisol. It's really cool. The whole hormonal aspect of the body is very cool. There's also the physical recovery and energy replenishment. So, this is where there's growth hormone secretion during deep sleep, and that helps aid muscle repair, tissue regeneration, cell growth, etc. The immune system also boosts during deep sleep because it is enhancing the production of infection fighting proteins. Also, really cool. It improves the glucose metabolism. So that's where we're able to stabilize blood sugar levels and reduce the risk of metabolic disorders like diabetes. Then there's the mental efficiency. So this is where we um, enhance learning, problem solving, the abilities to restore brain capacity to do things like process information, and cardiovascular health. By lowering heart rate and blood pressure, deep sleep supports long-term heart health. You guys are asking such good questions in the chat. Some of them we are going to get to. We also tend to pack as much information or education as we can during these sessions. Um, and maybe an idea that we have is we can go through some of these questions that aren't answered and we can do like a follow-up document so we can ensure that everybody is getting the absolute most out of the information provided, even if we can't do it in our very short 45 minutes. All right, so effects of not getting enough restorative sleep. Let's talk about this. Restorative sleep happens during that deep sleep. So too little restorative sleep can do a lot, as you see here. It can cause fatigue, low energy, poor concentration, difficulty focusing, slower reaction time. In the chat, I would really love to know what effects you feel personally when you have a night where you don't get enough sleep. So, for you, is it just fatigue? Is it just being tired, short-tempered? I wonder if there's a phrase. So, when you're hungry, they call it hangry. I wonder if there's one for tired because I saw somebody say that you get like kind of cranky or you just don't have as much patience. Slower reaction time, tired, snappy, brain fog. Yeah, just that constant feeling of being tired, your eyes feeling heavy, easily distracted. Yep, I mean, we can just check, check, check. So a lot of this are exactly the short-term consequences of not getting a lot of sleep. Now, there's also the long-term consequences. So over time, getting that little restorative sleep is linked to those, conditions. So increased risk of heart disease and high blood pressure. The reason is because we're putting strain on the heart and the circulatory system. There's also that higher risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. And that is because we're disrupting the metabolism and that hormone regulation. When the body is sleeping, the body is repairing and it's essentially fueling up and regassing for the next day. So it's truly important. I love sleep. I am one of those 7 to 9 hours, always in that bucket. Whereas my husband, he can go on 5 hours. We are very, very different. And even though he may not feel those short-term effects, I keep reminding him that your body is not repairing. It's not doing the processes and releasing the hormones that need to be done. And as much as, the game is so exciting, it goes into, overtime or whatever, it's not worth staying up late and risking, the body not getting what it's needed. Plus, in today's day and age, you can just check ESPN in the morning. Yes. And then there's also a greater risk of depression and cognitive decline because we are having problems with memory and decision making and long-term brain health. I've read studies about postpartum. You're going through this where you're not even going through a full sleep cycle because baby is waking, and then moms are panicking because their memory is gone, when in fact it's typical, or it's normal, I would say, for that period of time, just because the body's not repairing the way it should. So sleep is really, really, really important. All right, we're going to move on to sleep hormones and what can disrupt them, and next, what can be helpful. Because I want to help. We want to make sure that we're providing the education as well. So, sleep hormones are essentially the chemical messengers that help regulate sleep and wake cycles. There are a couple key sleep hormones. The first being melatonin, which I'm sure a lot of people may be familiar with. This is known as the sleep hormone. This is released in response to darkness. This is something where people who have kind of issues during the daylight savings, because there's, more daylight or not enough daylight, they have issues with sleeping too much or too little because of this. It helps signal that it's time to fall asleep. Then there's cortisol, which is known as the stress hormone. It's normally higher in the morning when you wake up, but too much cortisol in the evenings can make it harder to fall asleep. So, cortisol is almost better to have at the beginning of the day versus the end of the day. And then our last is, and I keep pronouncing this wrong, endosin, endinosin. Oh goodness. If you know how to pronounce it, feel free to break it down in the chat. But this builds up in the brain the longer you are awake, and it creates sleep pressure that helps to make you feel tired. So, light exposure at night, especially from screens, adenosine. Adenosine. Is that correct? Adenosine. Adenosine. That sounds better. Adenosine. We learn something new every day, right? Um, so that light exposure at night, and everybody's heard this before, right? The screens, the blue lights, bright indoor lighting, these can all suppress melatonin, which is not helpful, right? Because melatonin signals the body to sleep. The stress and irregular schedules can also disrupt the body's internal clock, making it harder to maintain consistent hormone rhythms that support that restful sleep. And then another one that you guys have all heard and we all know is caffeine and other stimulants. This can interfere with sleep hormones because it increases alertness, right? That's kind of the purpose of caffeine. But by increasing alertness, it is delaying the body's natural sleep signals, especially when used later in the day. So there's some science about not having caffeine, in the later afternoon, evenings. It's also knowing your body, knowing that I have to have my absolute last cup of coffee by 2 p.m. or I'm not going to sleep that night. I think earlier on the day is better. Stress is a huge factor in diet. Yeah, you guys are going to get all of the slide deck. We do a recording of it, so we download this recording and then we package up the slide deck and some additional information and we send it to you. So hopefully you guys share this too, whether it's with coworkers or family or friends. Moving on to lifestyle factors. So definitely want to spend a minute or so here. Routines. Routines are important. Irregular schedules will disrupt the body's natural sleep-wake rhythm. I can give you a great example. Just got back from a week in Florida. Vacations in general, you're typically staying up later, you're waking up later, so you're just not on the same cycle as you would be. You're also in a different place. You may not have all of your things with you. So, routine is definitely important. Not to say we shouldn't do things like vacations, but just being mindful of them, trying to go to bed the same time we normally would and wake up around the same time because that's the body doing it. I always think about things, vacations, holidays, things such as that. Screen time, the blue light exposure can delay the body's natural sleep signals. So that's why we say turn off the phones or the tablets or turn them really, really dim if maybe you're reading a Kindle or something to help you go to sleep. We talked about diet, so caffeine, sugar, be mindful of those, but even things like meals. You don't want to eat late meals because it can interfere with falling and staying asleep. A light snack is fine if you're hungry, but you don't want your body to be processing and digesting as you're trying to fall asleep. Physical activity is amazing. It absolutely supports sleep, your overall health and well-being, but the timing of physical activity is important because you don't want to do a crazy workout and then try to fall asleep because at that point, everything's pumping and you're more awake. Stress is going to make it harder to relax and sleep. So, we're going to talk about how we can be mindful of those substances as well. There's a, big misconception and a lot of different talk about alcohol can help you sleep when in fact it actually disrupts a lot of the sleep cycles, and it can negatively affect the actual quality of the sleep that you get. And then environment. So things like noise, light, temperature, they can all impact your rest. It's like knowing what's your, favorite coffee. How do you like your coffee? Do you like it hot or cold? Do you like sweetener or, milk? All different factors. It's the same thing with your sleep. How do you like your sleep? Do you like it cold? Do you like sound? Do you like a million blankets? Do you like none? And we're going to keep talking about them. So I would love to know from you which lifestyle factors has had the biggest impact on your sleep quality? Which lifestyle factors has had or has the biggest impact on your sleep quality? So is it screen time before bed? Is it stress levels? So many people are saying stress levels. Yeah, and keep voting, but even things like the what is it? Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and exhale for 6. Doing that a couple times as you're laying in bed and you're just letting the body relax. That may even just be a simple trick. And I love the people that are saying how they like their sleep environment. Yeah, so a lot of us, the stress levels impact our sleep quality as well as screen time. Uh, Yes, but let's talk about practical strategies. So what can we do? And I actually love this slide, this next one. Um, Tips for better sleep. So try these ABCs to catch more Zs. Isn't that cute? ABCs to catch more sleeps, Z's. So A is for activity. So being physically active earlier on the day will help regulate the circadian rhythm and make it easier to fall asleep at night. All of this information is coming from the American Heart Association. So definitely take it for the impact that it is. Physical activity is great. We want to be as active as possible. Very important. Doing it earlier on in the day is great. Not to say you can't work out after work if that's for you. Or I saw someone was saying, going for a walk after dinner, absolutely. But just if you're doing that vigorous activity earlier on in the day, and it's kind of like toddlers, right? You want to wear them out. So it's the same thing with us as adults. And I'm seeing a lot of people in here talking about perimenopause and menopause and hot flashes and all of those things. Absolutely. Those will absolutely impact a lot of different areas, especially sleep. So that's the conversations we want to have with our doctors saying, look, I want my 7 to 9 hours. These are the symptoms that I'm dealing with. What can help me? And they can do different things, whether it's through conversation or maybe even running labs to help you understand what's going on as far as your hormones. So we did A. B is for bye-bye devices, powering down the phones, the tablets, and the screens. The bright lights will interfere with the melatonin production and it will delay sleep. So as much as we want to scroll, 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 do that outside of your room. When you come into your room, put your phone on your charger, put it down. If you need to write or if you want to read or you want to try the breathing, those are going to be better. C is for calories, and we're talking specifically about timing of those calories. So trying to spread out those calories throughout the day, avoid the heavy meals late at night, because it will disrupt your sleep quality. We recommend 2 to 3 hours for digestion before bedtime. And again, if needed, a light balanced snack is okay before bed, but just nothing super heavy and dense. C is for caffeine and alcohol awareness. So we talked about this. We want to avoid these later in the day because it will disrupt sleep and it will increase the nighttime awakenings. D is for decompressing. I'm still on vacation mode, I think. Building in calming nighttime routines, deep breathing, meditation, journaling, helping your body and your mind wind down before bed. And I know I've got a couple more slides, but I do want to share. I always give this example of you have this crazy day, you do a million things, emails and kids or grandkids or caregiving or pets or house and job. And then you just think you're going to fall asleep because you're just so exhausted. You're mentally exhausted, right? But that's when your brain starts going text messages, ping, 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 ping. And you start thinking, did I send this email? Did I write this person back? Did I make this appointment? What's happening is we're just kind of in the cycle of our own mind. So I always like to do something like a guided meditation or a different type of relaxation because what it does is it takes you out of your mind and it puts you into a place. And it could be a happy place or a favorite place. You can do a beautiful hike during the spring, or you can do a winter night at a cozy cabin, or you could be swinging on a hammock at sunset on a beach. And so all of those things in your mind start, quieting down because you've taken your mind and you've put it into a different place and you're hearing different sounds and you're smelling different scents and you're just calming and quieting. That's just my tip. That's something that is really shared with me because anxiety is my best friend, my twin, if you would like to say, and that has really helped cope. And then E is for eating well. So just following a good diet, a heart healthy diet that supports better and more consistent sleep. That we know that what we eat is connected to how we feel, as well as it affects hormones, our blood sugar, digestion, all really, really important. We didn't want to not give some light to shift workers because we know that there are people out there that work all different types of hours. And honestly, we thank you, especially for, those that are working overnight, whether you're stocking shelves so our families have groceries or, maybe you're working in the hospital so that we have care. If you were to scan this QR code, there's 10 sleep tips for night shift workers. But in general, we just want you to prioritize your sleep and manage your family commitments as best as you can. Help delegate those responsibilities, help, have your family help you keep your sleep environment to your liking. Getting the quality 7 to 9 hours, even if it's not a traditional, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Using naps strategically and to keep a consistent rest schedule. The next one is talking about naps as a tool. Please let me know in the chat if you love naps. I absolutely love naps. And the good news is they are a good thing. They help you to restore energy. Someone said, I adore naps. They help to restore energy during the day. They improve alertness and ability to focus. They help with your mood and irritability, memory, creativity, and so much more. I love everybody who's saying they like naps. I can't function without naps. Absolutely love them. There's some tips for naps. So you want to aim for a short nap. 10 to 20 minutes is kind of the sweet spot. You want to avoid napping later in the day. So like 3 o'clock and on, because it will make it harder for you to fall asleep later on. Try to nap undisturbed, go to a quiet place. I love working for Care First. We have what we call respite rooms, which are quiet, dark rooms that we can visit if we need. Talk about prioritizing employee well-being. And then let yourself wake up naturally because that will help just the body reset. There's lots of great benefits of napping. We just have to remember those couple key things as far as napping. Yeah. All right. Choosing correct support. This is an important one. And honestly, I will say that this was a little bit of new news to me. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but essentially, your mattress firmness and your pillow support, as well as your bedding materials and your sleep position, all play a role. Moving on to sleep aids and tools for better rest. This may be something that you guys are already doing, but just some helpful options are things like melatonin or magnesium supplements. Definitely talk to your doctor and say, do you think this could help me? Sipping on some chamomile tea or using sound machines, maybe even having some aromatherapy in the room. I like my room dark, so blackout curtains are a must, as well as a sleep mask. And then I swear by my weighted blanket. I swear. I actually use my weighted blanket on my feet because it helps prevent me from tossing and turning. So would love to know if you guys are using any of these sleep aids now. And definitely share in the chat as well. If you're using any of these sleep aids and what's working really, really well for you. Some people have heated blankets, white noise machines. Some people are using melatonin. What else are you guys using? Magnesium, drinking tea. Love it. Kiwi. Fan, mask, weighted blanket, awesome. Yes, keep sharing. Keep sharing. You guys learn from each other just as much as you learn from us. So I'm going to go quickly through our last one. There's just so much good information that we want to share with you. But the last is the sleep and stress connection. So I think that this graphic kind of shows it all, right? If we're stressed, we tend to have anxious thoughts and worry, which then we're not able to sleep well. And if we're not able to sleep well, we're not able to cope well. And then that's going to start the whole sleep stress cycle again and again. So stress makes it harder to sleep because when you're stressed, your body is in this state of fight or flight. And then that poor increased stress is not getting enough quality sleep, which reduces that ability to cope. And then the stress hormones are just going to interfere with sleep. So it's just kind of this ongoing cycle. So we want to put stress to bed. Such a fun title. Um, Establish a calm wind down routine 30 to 60 minutes before bed. This helps signal to the brain that it's time for sleep. If you think back to maybe whether you have young kids or you know of young kids, nighttime routines are very important to them. It should be just as important to us. Using that time to, take a warm bath or a shower, start your reading, write down any concerns, lower the lights, turn the volume down on your phones, start the white noise in the background, turn on the fans, and really using your bed for sleep, not for other things like being on the computer or whatever it may be, but the bedroom should be for sleep. And then we have just sleep is an ongoing relationship, just like we talked about with nutrition last month. It's ongoing, it's lifelong. We're going to get it right sometimes, and we're going to fall off the horse sometimes, and that's okay. What really matters is how quickly we get back up and back onto routine. So, your sleep is going to change just because of life demands and schedules and stress, and that's okay. What matters is that we recognize that and we take small steps to ensure that we're getting back on the right path. Um, and I will, yeah, I'm a little bit over on time, so just want to say, spring is here. We're actually in spring right now. So we focused on the sleep aspect of stress management. In May, we're going to focus on mental health. We have the most amazing guest speaker that will be talking to us. And then in June, we're going to focus on brain health and healthy aging. This is kind of a totally new topic for us. So I'm really interested for this one as well. As always, Care First is here to care for you and to provide resources. So if you have Care First well-being as part of your employee package, you have access to our well-being platform. Specifically, we have core programs. The ones I want to call out today are Unwinding. Unwinding is our sleep solution. It has every type of tool imaginable to help you unwind, calm mind, have a successful sleep. So, highly recommend you check that out as well. And then we have core well-being programs. So, if you're interested in health coaching, that could be helpful, talking about sleep as well as, just overall well-being care. And then we always have more Care First resources as well. Again, we try to wrap our arms around all of our members and provide you as many resources as possible to ensure that you have tools, resources, education, and support when it comes to any aspect of your well-being. We have a Care First preventative checklist. We have a full comprehensive health library, and then we have care management programs that can support as well. So I want to thank you so, so much for your time today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat now before we close them out. And what we're going to do is we're going to put together some Q&As to make sure that we answer your questions. But do remember, if there's anything specific to you, if you have any type of chronic condition or health ailment, you're going to want to talk to your primary care provider or any type of specialist, because they are going to be able to most effectively and efficiently help you get the support you need when it comes to sleep. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have just the healthiest and the happiest month as we enter into this beautiful weather. Make time to take care of yourself. And we will see you back here for May Mental Health Month. Thank you all so much.